Good morning, children. Today we are going to continue with the chapter World of Microbes. So far in this chapter, you might have learned about the microbes and their types. In today's session, we are going to continue with the applications of microbes. Let us see the applications of microbes. So, in microorganisms, they contribute to human welfare in many ways. That is, the microorganisms, they play a vital role, they play an important role in the human welfare in many ways. So in this session, we will study about the diversified usefulness of the microbes. Microbes in agriculture. So they play an important role in agriculture as a biocontrol agents and biofertilizers. So microorganisms, they play an important role in the field of agriculture. How do they play an important role? As a biocontrol agent and biofertilizers. The microorganisms play a vital role in the cycling of elements like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, sulfur and phosphorus. So, here you can see the microorganisms, they play an important role in this carbon cycles. Not only this carbon cycle, like this carbon cycle, we have nitrogen cycle, oxygen cycle, sulfur cycle and phosphorus cycle. So for all the cycles, the microorganisms, they play an important role. The microorganisms, they play an important role for all the cycles. Are you clear? Microbes as biofertilizers, we are going to continue. So the microorganisms as biofertilizers, they enrich the soil with the nutrients. The microorganisms which enrich the soil with nutrients are called as biofertilizers. So what are biofertilizers? Microorganisms which enrich the soil with nutrients are called as biofertilizers. So the microorganisms which enrich the soil with the help of microorganisms. So microorganisms, they enrich the soil with nutrients. They are called as biofertilizers. Bacteria, cyanobacteria and fungi are the main source of biofertilizers. We have some main sources of biofertilizers. What are the main sources of biofertilizers? Bacteria, cyanobacteria and fungi. So they are the main sources of biofertilizers. Are you clear, children? Let us see about this nitrogen cycle. So the nitrogen is one of the main source for the plant nutrients. So the plants use nitrogen as a main source. Atmospheric nitrogen has to be converted to the available form of nitrogen. So the plants cannot absorb the nitrogen directly from the atmosphere. So it has to be converted and then it should be consumed. This is done by the microbes in a free living conditions or having a symbiotic relationship with the plants. So for this conversion of nitrogen into that is consumable nitrogen, the conversion has to be done by the microorganisms like nitrogen fixing bacteria. We have so many nitrogen fixing bacteria. Let us see some of the examples of nitrogen fixing bacteria like Acetobacter. So this is Acetobacter and we have Nostoc, a free living bacteria, symbiotic microorganisms like rhizobium, frankia. So they are the examples of nitrogen fixing bacteria: Acetobacter, nostoc, rhizobium, frankia. Are you clear? So all these microorganisms, they play an important role as biofertilizers. Next, we are going to continue with microbes as biocontrol agents. Microorganisms used for controlling harmful or pathogenic organisms and the pests of plants are called as biocontrol agents. So what are biocontrol agents? The organisms used for controlling harmful pathogens and the pest of plants. So we can use a microorganism in controlling the pathogens and pest of the plants. They are called as biocontrol agents. Example, we have Bacillus thuringiensis. Example of bacteria which act as a biocontrol agent is Bacillus thuringiensis. What is this called? Thuringiens. Bacillus thuringiensis. It's a type of bacteria. We call it as Bt bacteria. So how does Bt bacteria act as a biocontrol agent? Let us see. This Bacillus thuringiensis, this is the structure of bacteria called as Bacillus thuringiensis. This Bacillus thuringiensis, which is called as Bt bacteria, is a species of bacteria that produces a protein called cryprotein. That is nothing but the crystal protein. This bacteria, it produces a protein called cryprotein. What do you mean by cryprotein? The cryprotein is called as the crystal protein. This protein is toxic to the insect larva. The protein produced by the bacteria is toxic against the crystal larva and they kills them. The spores of the Bacillus thuringiensis are available in a sachet which are dissolved in water and sprayed on the plants infected with insect larvae. So this can be, that is the spores of the Bt bacteria easily available in the markets. So it can be used against the pests and infections which kills them. Are you clear? So this Bt bacteria, it produces a special type of protein called cryprotein. And this cryprotein is a toxic substance for the insect larva. Okay, so it can be sprayed against, it can be dissolved in water and can be sprayed against the insect larva in order to kill those insects and pests in the case of plant. Are you clear? Next, we'll move on to the microbes in industries. Microorganisms, they play an important role in the production of a wide variety of valuable products for the welfare of human beings. So they are used in a wide products. Microorganisms are used in the production of wide products. So many products. Let us see what are the different types of products. First product is fermented beverages. So beverages like wines are produced by fermentation of grapefruits by Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So, microorganisms are used for fermented beverages, that is the production of beverages. So, what type of beverages? Wines are produced by fermentation of grapes. So how wines are produced? By the fermentation of grapes. The fermentation process is done by a yeast, that is a fungi, a type of fungi called Saccharomyces cerevisiae. You can see the structure here. So this is the structure of yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So this fungi Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is in common we call it as yeast, is used for fermentation of grapes and the production of beverages. Are you clear? So microorganisms like Saccharomyces cerevisiae, this is the structure of Saccharomyces. It can be used in the production of wines by the process of fermentation. Next, microorganisms are used for curing of coffee beans, tea leaves and tobacco leaves. You all can know that the coffee beans, tea leaves and the tobacco leaves, they maintain some flavors, isn't it? Some flavors meant for coffee, tea and tobacco. So the curing of coffee beans, tea leaves and tobacco leaves are fermented by the bacteria called Bacillus megaterium. So here the fermentation of the leaves, that is the curing of leaves, is done by a special type of bacteria called Bacillus megaterium. Bacillus megaterium. And this fermentation is done by the bacteria called Bacillus megaterium. You can see the structure. This is like thread-like structures. All these are the bacteria which is called as bacillus. Normally, you know, bacillus are rod-shaped bacteria, isn't it? So here you can see numerous bacteria. What is the name of the bacteria? Bacillus megaterium. And this Bacillus megaterium helps to retain the special aroma of the leaves. The aroma is retained by this type of bacteria. Are you clear, children? Next, we are going to continue with the microbes as the production of curd. We all know the production of curd is done by a special type of bacteria called lactobacillus. So how curd is formed from the milk? So from milk to curd, the milk to curd is converted by a special type of bacteria called lactobacillus. So this lactobacillus, you know, normally bacillus is a rod-shaped bacteria as I told previously. So here the milk is converted to curd by a special type of bacteria called lactobacillus. It helps to convert the milk to curd. So what is the name of the bacteria which converts milk to curd? It is lactobacillus. So this is the structure of lactobacillus. Next, we are going to see microbes are used in the production of organic acids, enzymes and vitamins. So microorganisms are used in the production of organic acids, enzymes and vitamins. So oxalic acids, acetic acid and citric acid, you can see oxalic acid, acetic acid and citric acid are produced by the fungus called Aspergillus niger. What is the name of the fungus? Aspergillus niger. So this organic acids are produced by the special type of fungus called Aspergillus niger. And enzymes like lipase, invertase, protease are derived from the microbes. So enzymes like lipase, invertase, protease and glucose oxidase are derived from the microbes. So yeast is a rich source of vitamin B complex. So microorganisms are used variously, like Bacillus niger, as I told, Bacillus niger is used in the production of acids like oxalic acid, acetic acid and citric acids. And the enzymes like lipase, invertase, protease are also derived from the microbes. We can also get from the microorganisms. And yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which I told in the previous slide. So Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is in common, we call it as yeast, is a rich source of vitamin B complex. Are you clear, children? You have any doubt in the microbes as industries? Now we'll move on to the microbes in medicine. So let us see how the microorganisms are used in the field of medicine. Antibiotics. These are metabolic products of microorganisms. What are the antibiotics? Antibiotics are the metabolic products in which low concentration of inhibitory detrimental to other microbes. In 1929, Alexander Fleming, you can see the picture of Alexander Fleming. This is a great scientist picture of Alexander Fleming. So in 1929, Alexander Fleming produced the first antibiotic penicillin. He produced the first antibiotic penicillin. In human beings, antibiotics are used to control various diseases like cholera, diphtheria, pneumonia, typhoid, etc. So, Alexander Fleming was the first scientist to produce antibiotics, penicillin. So, what did he found out? Penicillin. Okay. So, let us see a chart of antibiotics produced by the microorganisms. You can see the class of microorganisms, types of microorganisms, antibiotic produced. So first is the bacteria called Streptomyces griseus. Streptomyces griseus. So from Streptomyces griseus, what type of antibiotic is produced? Streptomycin. From the bacteria called Streptomyces erythraeus. Streptomyces erythraeus, antibiotic produced is erythromycin. These are the antibiotics. These are the name of the type of microorganisms and what type of class, whether they are bacteria or fungi. So bacteria Streptomyces, from the bacteria Streptomyces, what is derived? Streptomycin is obtained. From bacteria Streptomyces erythraeus, erythromycin is produced. Again from bacteria Bacillus subtilis. Bacillus subtilis, what is produced? Antibiotic penicillin is produced. So what is this? Penicillin. Penicillin is produced by Bacillus subtilis. Bacillus subtilis, bacitracin is produced. This is given right here. So Bacillus subtilis, we can get bacitracin. It is not penicillin. And from fungi Penicillium notatum, penicillin is produced. This is actually bacitracin. This is bacitracin. BACITRACIN, bacitracin. Okay, so from the fungi, Cephalosporium eremonium. Cephalosporium eremonium, cephalosporin is produced. Are you clear? So next we are going to see about the vaccines. So vaccines, these are prepared by killing or making the microbes inactive. So how vaccines are produced? They are produced by either killing or making the microorganisms inactive. The inactive state of microorganisms are called as attenuated condition. Attenuated means making a microorganisms inactive. So these inactive microorganisms are unable to cause disease, but they stimulate the body to produce the antibiotics against the antibodies in the antigen of the microbes. So these inactive microbes are unable to cause disease, but they stimulate the body to produce antibodies. So these microorganisms, they stimulate the body to produce an antibody against the antigen in the microbes. So the work antigen is a microorganisms. Okay, so antibody produced by the vaccine, they act against the antigen and they produce that is they stimulate the body to produce antibiotics, antibodies against the antigen in the microbes. Next is microbes, that is vaccines produced against diseases. Let us see some type of vaccines and their disease. So you can see the type of vaccine. Live attenuated. What is live attenuated? That is making the microbes inactive. Name of the vaccine is MMR. So that helps to cure the disease like measles, mumps and rubella. Live attenuated, again live attenuated microbes. Name of the vaccine is BCG against the disease tuberculosis. Inactivated or killed antigen, inactivated poliovirus, that is IPV. We call it as IPV, inactivated poliovirus against the disease polio. Next is subunit vaccines, that is purified antigens. From the purified antigens, the name of the vaccine produces hepatitis B vaccine. Hepatitis B vaccine against the disease hepatitis B. Then toxicoid, that is inactivated antigen. The name of the vaccine is TT, which we commonly call as TT. Tetanus toxicoid against the disease tetanus. Then again diphtheria toxicoid against the disease diphtheria. Are you clear? Next we are going to continue with microbes and disease. Disease means dis against, ease is comfort. Can be defined as an impairment or malfunctioning of the normal state of the living organisms that disturbs or modifies the performance of vital functions of the body. Disease can be categorized based on the infections or non-infections, based on the extent of occurrence, based on the infections or non-infections, the types of pathogens, whether they are caused by bacteria, viral, fungal or protozoan infections. Again, transmitting agents like airborne, waterborne or vector-borne. So, the disease can be categorized based on all these categories. So, extent of occurrence, whether they are endemic, epidemic, pandemic or sporadic. Then whether they are infectious or non-infectious. Then types of pathogens. What type of pathogens? Whether they are caused by bacteria, virus, fungal or protozoan infections. Again, they transmitting agents like air, water or vector-borne. So based on this categories only diseases are classified. Classification of disease based on occurrence. So first is endemic. So what is endemic? So endemic diseases which is found in certain geographical area affecting a fewer of people, that is low incidence, that is occurrence of goiter. Example is occurrence of goiter in sub-Himalayan regions. So this is called endemic disease. Epidemic disease is a disease which breaks out and affects a large number of people in a particular geographical region and spreads at the same time. Example, influenza. Next is pandemic disease. So pandemic disease which is widely distributed on a global scale. Example, AIDS, COVID, etc. Next is sporadic disease. Diseases which occur occasionally. Example, malaria and cholera. So these are the different types of classification based on their occurrence. So occurrence is how they spread worldwide. What is the nature of the spreading? So they are endemic, epidemic, pandemic and sporadic. So this COVID-19 comes under the pandemic occurrence. So it occurs worldwide, distributed on a global scale. So that's all, children. We come to the end of the today's session. We will continue in our next session. Thank you, children.